We wanted to let you hear from the likely next president of Texas A&M, Michael Young, on a trio of critical issues. Yesterday, he was asked about allowing licensed holders to carry handguns on campus and about in-state tuition rates for some immigrants in the country illegally. First, as tuition rates rise, the current University of Washington president was asked about the affordability of college.
Nobody wishes that it had not gone up more than I do. But nevertheless, it's, 4 years here is probably still less than you will pay for, your second car. So it still is a bargain, the benefit of which will be realized over their entire life. So I know it's stressful at this point, but to try and keep some perspective so that they don't let it overwhelm them, because it will pay off. But the other side of it is, how do we keep it affordable? I mean, one of the things that we discovered at the University of Washington, and a lot of work on this, is that our cost of education, and I suspect that's true here, in 1985, in inflation-adjusted dollars, it was about $17,000 per student. Now, in inflation-adjusted dollars, it's about $16,500. What's changed? In 1985, the state paid 80% of that, and the students paid 20%. Our students at UW are now paying 75% of that, and the state 25% of that. That's a fundamental shift. And helping the state understand that these institutions are powerful in some measure because they are vehicles for people, for the best and the brightest, to realize their potential, whatever their economic circumstances, is critical to the future of the state. That is a public good. That's not a private good. So trying to get that understanding. The second thing, I think, is A&M, as all universities, need to work to squeeze out as much cost as we can. Efficiency, I think, is really important, knowing that there's a certain irreducible inefficiency in higher education, because the most transformative educational opportunities really are largely interpersonal.
Young also said new innovative models need to be explored to help students with financial aid. Young declined to comment on carrying of guns on campus, but did allude to a past stance on the issue.
I'm going to take a pass on the first one. I have been involved in that issue to some degree when I was at the University of Utah. I really am just not deeply immersed enough in it here to have really a view.
State Senator Charles Schwartner of Georgetown, who represents most of the Brazos Valley, is a joint author of the Campus Personal Protection Act. On this program last month, he said licensed, responsible, law-abiding adults with proper training and background checks should be allowed to protect themselves on campuses. That bill likely has enough support to get out of the Senate, leaving the House and the governor, Greg Abbott, to decide its fate. Before he started at the University of Washington, Michael Young was the president at the University of Utah. That was starting in 2004. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, in 2002, prior to Young's arrival, the university had a ban on guns on campus. A state attorney general's opinion said that ban violated the law. The university challenged that with legal action. Things started coming to a head in 2004. The Utah legislature passed a bill that said only they could set gun policy, and the University of Utah voted to maintain its gun ban. But in 2006, the Utah Supreme Court said the university had no right to do that. President Young's statement at the time, when that ban was lifted, was that he was disappointed. Quote, "Universities across the country uniformly prohibit guns on campus. We hope that following a review of this case in federal court, the issue will be resolved to uphold our long-standing policy of keeping firearms off campus." In the years to follow, Young would work with Utah state and university leaders in an effort to try and limit where those guns could be carried on campuses, and fought against open carry policies, saying that visible guns create a, quote, fearful and intimidating campus environment. Now, Young's response from yesterday when he was asked about his stance on in-state tuition rates for some immigrants in the country illegally.
I do believe that college is among the most powerful launching pads for a person to be a real contributor to society that you can imagine. As I frequently tell the Speaker of the House in Washington, that we're the best social service program in the state. And when you think about it, there's really a lot of power to that. I mean, we often talk about the fact that someone who who has a college degree as compared with a high school degree, and it's a bell curve to be sure, is going to, make $1 million more in their life. They're going to pay $350,000 more in taxes over their life. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. They are likely to use somewhere between $800 and $2,500 per year less in social services than a high school graduate on average. They are far less likely to be incarcerated, far less likely to be to be involved in any kind of substance abuse, far less likely to be on any sort of welfare or state support, much more likely to participate in civic activities. Their children are going to be much more prepared for school. I mean, these are all statistically demonstrable in a very powerful way. So my view is educate everybody who is going to stay in your state, if you possibly can. Drag them off the streets, round them up, get them into college. It is the most powerful way in which you create the kind of society and economy that you want to live in. And I am a huge believer in that.